You function at a high level almost effortlessly. You get the praise, you get the accolades, but privately, you know there's more. There's something God put in you that you keep pushing to the back. You call it a business, but you've been treating it like your side chick. It's time to stop stalling and start building without sacrificing the life that you love or the stability of your job. Hi, I'm Jateya Jones, and this is the Confident and Courageous Clarity Podcast, where corporate creatives learn to do both, be the blueprint, and finally bring that God idea to life. Let's jump into today's episode. You know the moment I'm talking about. When someone asks you, what are you working on? Or what do you really want? Or better yet, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you open your mouth, and what comes out is not the full story. It's the edited version, the reasonable version, the version that you've calculated won't make the room uncomfortable. There are two versions of your vision, the version that you share and the version that you keep very close knit and say to your heart. The first version, the one you actually share, is the one you feel comfortable saying in professional settings. It's clean, you can put it in your LinkedIn bio, and it's easily understood and digestible in those settings. It's the one that you use in networking events. It's the one that you pitch when someone asks you, what do you do? It's polished and it's accepted in most environments and rooms, personally and professionally. But the truth of the matter is, it's not the entire truth. It's not the full vision. The second one is the one that you carry privately. It's the one that you journal about. It's the one that you think about when you're in the car and you're driving with the music off and you're all alone. It's the one that shows up when you allow yourself to just imagine what you would actually build if no one was judging you, if no one was watching, and if you didn't have to explain yourself as to why you were doing that instead of climbing the corporate ladder. That version is a lot bigger. It's so big that it actually probably scares you. It's more specific and it's more yours. And like many of us, you've been keeping that one so far, far away from your everyday life. But I want to ask you something, and I really want you to sit with it before you answer. What is the version that you never said out loud in professional settings? Not the polished version, not the easily digestible version. And that's what I want us to talk about today. Here's what I know about the people that I work with. They're not sharing the smaller version because they're afraid or just because they're afraid. They're sharing the smaller version because they've been conditioned and taught that that is the responsible thing to do, i.e., the safe thing to do. Think about every time you've entered into a networking event or just any professional setting where you felt comfortable enough to share your full vision, the looks that you got, the pick a lane, or just the energy shift and people casually walking away. Think about that setting where someone maybe changed the subject. I always say, you're not too big for the room's just too small to hold you. Because many of us have been told majority of our lives that you're doing too much, you're too extra, you're too different. Think about those rooms where people have said those things to you. And think about you sharing your full vision in those settings. Maybe someone changed the subject. Maybe the response that they gave you was polite but fell flat. Maybe someone said, it's a nice idea, but what's your plan? Maybe you watch the energy in the room shift. I know that I know that we pick up on patterns very easily. And that's the biggest one that I always notice first. It's just the energy would shift, how people related to me, talked to me, stayed away from me. And in each one of those instances, you would file those responses away as data, that it truly wasn't safe for you to say your full vision out loud. So we stopped, not because we were afraid, but because we learned, not because we gave up, but because we were paying attention. We quickly learned that all of those rooms came with ceilings. And rather than keep bumping against them, we just started to share our vision in a way that was easily digestible and acceptable. That was not weakness, that was called adapting. But adaptation cost, because the edited version slowly became the version that you actually told yourself. And once you started to do that enough times, it started to actually become the real one, the one that you actually thought was attainable. And your other one, you started to think maybe unrealistic and too much. It was already so ginormous that it literally scared you, but you believed that it could happen in the beginning. And every time you share the edited version, the gap between what you knew and what you were actually seeing and or living grew wider and wider. And eventually, you maybe even stop using any of that language to describe yourself professionally. And one day, someone asks you, what do you really want? And automatically, the edited version comes out of your mouth. Not because you chose to say that, but because it truly became your default. I'm not saying go against the data and go in every room and scream your vision to the mountaintops and blow everything that you've built up. I'm not saying that. Do not ruin your reputation. But I am asking you to take note of the distance between what you say and what you see, because that distance is costing you something. Honestly, it's costing you clarity, and more so clarity in the marketplace. The people who you're actually called to serve, they're confused about what you actually do and who you actually are, and if you can help them. And every time you say the edited version, you're preventing those individuals from an opportunity and a chance to actually find you. I want to share something with you that I've not always said out loud in professional settings. For years, I told people I was a business coach or consultant, and then they would follow up with, well, what kind? And I would either say clarity, small business, communication, or strategic planning. And all of that was true, but it wasn't the full scope. The truth was, I wanted to create a world where people that were always told they were doing too much, they were scattered, they were all over the place, they were too different or just really hard to categorize. Those individuals, I wanted to build a world where they no longer had to shrink in shame or hide how they were just genuinely designed. These individuals, we pick up on patterns very quickly, we pick up the connections that other people miss. We have ideas and skill sets that don't fit neatly into one silo or lane, and individuals whose gifts are misread as problems before people take the time to truly understand them. And for a long time, that vision felt way too big to say out loud, mainly because the underlying mission with that was that the multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate corporate creative that gained the freedom to show up fully, have financial security and fulfillment in the work that they did, that ignited positive impact and change. And 9 times out of 10 became the thought leadership that was newly adopted into their industry. Those individuals, once they shook some up, they would become an inspiration to so many others out there who were forced to fit in a box. And those individuals could come out of the gate dominating by developing their God-given vision. I wanted to build the infrastructure to make it impossible to overlook the multi-passionate or corporate creative or the multi-gifted professional, the one who's been told they were scattered their whole entire life, yet they were the most capable in every room. I wanted to create something that was undeniable, that it could sit next to a Fortune 500 case study and hold its own weight. It would be studied, and that it would be a testimony of how the world would change, how the world actually sees them, and that a God idea came from a God that is powerful and full of grace, that takes the overlook and makes them undeniable. And that's what I wasn't saying out loud. I edited myself and I edited my vision, called it coaching, consulting, my methodology, my framework. And all of that was true. But despite all of that, everything that I said made it look like the people, the multi-passionates, were the problem. The problem was that they're trying to thrive inside of societies that really couldn't recognize what they were carrying and their gifts. And ultimately, I wanted to build this world where they didn't have to shrink in shame, hide, or apologize for how they were just naturally designed. And when I finally said that out loud, something shifted. Not because the vision was new, I have been carrying the same vision for years, because I stopped making it smaller than what it actually was. Here's what I want you to understand about the size of your vision. The vision is not the problem, the container is. When it keeps bumping up against the ceiling in the room that it's in, that's not a sign that the vision is too big. It's a sign that the room is too small. You can't read the label from inside the jar. We've talked about this. which means people inside those rooms that you've been downsizing your vision for, they may not be your audience. Not because they're wrong, not because they're mean, but because they're standing inside of a container that was not built for what you are meant to carry. The vision grew, you grew, the room did not. And the answer is not to shrink down the vision to the room. The answer is to find the room that's actually built for the size of your vision. Or if you can't find it, to build it. As they say, if you build it, they will come. I can attest to that. Because here's what the full vision is telling you. You're not being reckless, you're not being irresponsible, and you're not being unrealistic. It's just telling you that you've outgrown the goal, the mission, the vision, the company, the relationship that you used to strive for. And outgrowing that container is not a crisis. We established that in episode 1. It's called expansion. So again, it's not whether or not the vision is too big. The question is whether or not you're ready to stop making it fit in the space that it was never designed to be in. Making room for the vision that no longer fits in just the margins of your life. That's not a tagline, that's the work. I used to do this in between lunch, just any small little crack of space that I could. When I actually started dedicating time to it, that's when everything else started to make room for it. Before I let you go, once again, I have a question for you. Not the questions I usually ask, but something more specific. If you had to describe your vision in a way that made you actually feel a little uncomfortable, just the bigger version that you would normally say in a professional setting, what would that be? How would you describe your vision? If nobody was really watching, no one could judge you, what would you say? You don't have to say it to anyone, not just yet. If you want to share it with me, by all means, please do so. I would love to hold space for you. You don't have to pitch it. You don't have to post it. You just have to say it to yourself, the full version, without watering it down. Because in episode 4, we're going to talk about why, even when you've identified your common thread and named the real vision, why you might still not be moving at the pace that you think you should be. And I want you to have the full vision in your head. I want you to be able to clearly see it once we get to doing that work. So thank you for being here for episode number 3 in this series, the expansion series. This is the episode I don't take lightly because asking someone to name their full vision, not the safe version, not the watered down version, the real one, it requires courage. It requires confidence. Hint, hint, the Confident and Courageous Clarity podcast. And I don't take it for granted that you're here. So if this episode landed, I want to ask you to share it with another person that you know they've been watering down their big vision as well. Or maybe have not even said it out loud ever. That friend needs to hear this. And if you're ready to start building a full plan around your big vision, again, not the watered down version, there's 2 things that exist for you right now. It's the Clarity Lab and the Plan to Win Intensive. Either place, you don't have to figure it out alone, and you're in a room that is able to hold the breadth and weight of your enormous vision with people who understand how you feel in those small rooms and who have vision that can actually help support you, connect you, and provide resources to help you get to the transformation of it from here to where you can actually see it sooner, quicker, faster. The links are in the show notes. I'll see you in episode 4, where we talk about why things aren't moving. And I promise you, it's not what you think. So until then, same place, same time. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If this confirmed what you've been feeling, stop putting it off. You already know what God told you to build. If you're ready to move in obedience, book a clarity call. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, you have the clarity, you have the call. Now it's time for the courage.